Hey everybody, Licameli here. Today, it's a very serious video, and I have something to tell you. The name of the series is called I Was Wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong, sort of. As I look back on some of my videos, I feel the need to kind of revisit some topics and kind of call myself out a little bit and add some corrections or a little comments here and there just to clarify how things have changed and how my perspective has changed since then. There's always that risk of things changing, but the piece that you write or the video that you make is constant. That's always going to be there, regardless of how you change, how science changes, how anything changes. You never know. You just never know what's going to come out, what's going to change. And the last thing that I and pretty much anyone I think would want to do is put out misinformation. So this series is going to be called I Was Wrong. Here we go. Yeah, man. Here we are back with episode 4 of I Was Wrong. So this video is a video about the hip hinge. And I don't mind the first part of it. The first part of it, I use two action figures. One of Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the other one is a Power Ranger. The idea being that when the action figure kind of bends forward and hinges forward, it's just a strict pivot at the hip, right? It's just a strict pivot at the hip. And in this particular case, Stone Cold's knees didn't bend, so it was kind of in a little bit of flexion of the knees already, so he was demonstrating a perfectly good Romanian deadlift. And the Power Ranger was, the knees were able to bend, so we showed a squat with the Power Ranger. But in both instances, they just kind of hinge at the hips, and there's no compensations or any kind of movements from the lower back, anything like that. The lower back and the spine stays pretty much stable. I will say that it is a little bit misleading because it's not like the spine needs to stay completely stable when we Romanian deadlift or squat, but it's just the idea, right? It's the idea that a hip hinge starts from the hips. At the end of the video, however, I mention that we could watch how a baby squats because they tend to have good squat mechanics. You may have heard this, that to watch a baby squat or watch a toddler squat and they have perfect form, and the reason why they have good form and the reason why an adult doesn't have good form, you may have heard, is because we get tight or we sit at work or we don't train the squat anymore. We don't sit in that deep squat position enough, so we lose it. However, that's not the case. Babies and adults are different. Babies and adults are different. It is like a Ferrari and a tow truck, right? They're just two different animals. For the first reason, the head size, right? The baby's head is way bigger in proportion to the rest of its body than an adult. What that does is it allows more weight to counterbalance the squat forward, right? So it's like if you do a body weight squat with your hands on your head versus a body weight squat with your hands out in front of you versus a body weight squat with your hands out in front of you holding a medicine ball or a light weight. The easiest way to do that squat is going to be with the arms out holding that weight because it's going to counterbalance your body weight and help you sink down into that squat easier. The baby also has shorter legs, right, compared to an adult in proportion to its body. So it allows for that baby to get down into that squat almost like that power lifter with really short femurs, right? They're just at an advantage structurally because their legs haven't grown. Their torsos are a lot larger than their legs at this point. And of course, the last thing is that their joints aren't all fused yet. So they have joints that aren't fused yet. So there's more mobility, um, just more laxity in the baby's body, right? They fall, they contort themselves into different positions. Um, that's not a mistake, right? They're not fused all the way. They're meant to kind of bounce around and bang their head on this and kind of get into these positions without causing pain. Or not necessarily pain, but their bodies are able to get into these positions, unlike an adult, right? Unlike an adult. And there's a great article by Dean Somerset where he talks about this, and I will link that down below. So yeah, don't try to squat like a baby, because we aren't babies. We are adults, and we're not built like a baby. So we shouldn't try to squat like a baby. We should try to squat like Nick, or we should try to squat like Susan, or we should try to squat like Mike, right? We should try to squat like we can individually. Our individual squat is the way that we should squat. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you want, and we'll see you next time.